Hey everybody, I'm Trevor.
I'm Soda Planet.
And we are the Juice WRLD and Todd Show. and Lean Show. And Lean Show. Today we're going to be talking about the latest Juice WRLD record, Death Race for Love. Which doesn't make any sense at all. The title is also freestyled.
The PS2 album art was freestyle.
It's PS1 album art,
yeah,
but it's not a greatest hits because it's not in green. It's just black. That means it sucks. Gerard Higgins, aka Juice WRLD, is one of those pioneers, kind of at the forefront of emo rap nowadays, which is just about exclusively powered by his single Lucid Dreams, which came out last year, which I thought was really dumb when it came out, but then it proved to be a really, really catchy song. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of just really stupid, edgy lyricism. Death Race for Love is his second studio album, of course, following his first solo album, Goodbye and Good Riddance.
Last year. Which we didn't cover. And then his other studio album, which was a collaborative album between him and Future, which I still don't know if Juice WRLD was actually on that album, because comparative to what we get to this,
hear him.
he sounds like a completely different person.
That was Juice WRLD, or I guess Future was probably first. Future and Juice WRLD present World on Drugs.
Which they had no chemistry whatsoever, and any of what made Juice WRLD popular was not shown on that. It was just terrible collaboration between two non-distinctive voices.
Death Race for Love is, as we kind of joked before, an entirely freestyled album by Juice WRLD. He just confirmed it.
Which, in a sense, doesn't mean it's necessarily bad that it's freestyled, because emo rap doesn't really.
An hour and 15 minutes long. So.
In a sense, emo rap really, on the basis of lyricism, isn't good.
No, it literally could all be freestyled. It's
based on emotion. It could literally be freestyled. That's not the problem. The fact is, we're getting an hour 15 minutes of what could have been 4 different albums. And probably would have been 4 like okay records, okay to good records,
depending on how you split it.
Yeah. But this is just like, it starts off the first 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, these are some quality emo raps. I'm getting my feels. I'm gonna go to Hot Topic, my 21 Pilot shirt. Like, I'm in my feels right now. And then like after it, we get into just like either boring trap or some moments that are like dance hall inspired, or just random freestyle verses where I'm like, Juice WRLD, go home and take a nap. Like, you don't have to freestyle all day. Like, you can do other things with your time. But like, this thing, its biggest problem is negligence. The fact that this thing has like over an hour of material, the fact that he is freestyling all his lines, so to the point where you have a project like this, nothing means anything because it's all freestyled, and plus it's emo rap, so all the emotions are over dramatic and overtly present, and it's just such a negligent album, because there's a good album in here. There's a good album. If it was 20 to 30 minutes of material, the best tracks on here, whether it's like the first like 7 tracks on this album from Empty all the way to like Hear Me Calling, I think it would have been okay. But like, there's just so much on here. There's just so much Juice WRLD. We do not need an hour plus Juice WRLD at any reality, any time period. I don't think we need an hour plus work of emo rap. No. Like, we don't. Like, we just don't. And it reminds me a lot of Trippie Redd's Life's a Trip last year, which at the time was actually one of the best emo rap albums I heard.
I would still consider it.
Not to say it was good, because I think that album has its flaws in the way this has its flaws. That album went on too long, but it also took some like weird trajectories that didn't make any sense. This does the same thing, but it does it more, and I think its highs maybe past Trippie or at the same level of Trippie, but its lows are just so long and dredged out. I don't think I ever really want to go back to this thing, because it's, even with its best moments, I feel like they were tainted for me, because essentially Juice WRLD's a magician of sorts. Like, he shows you this trick, this fat emo rap track. You're like, oh, this is great. And he's like, you want to see how I made it? and then he shows you, he rolls up his sleeve and shows you all of his cards, and it completely ruins the illusion of what emo rap was, is that it's very cheaply and quickly made.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Going back to Trippie Redd, I would argue that I think that Life's a Trip is an overall better experience.
Yeah,
and I would
yes,
yeah.
It's also because it's shorter.
Well,
I didn't feel like I aged 50 years.
Yes. I felt like I played the entirety of a PS1 game. I felt like I had to work through like Final Fantasy VII in the time that this thing went on. But I think basically anything that Juice WRLD does on this record is immediately surpassed. Even the highs of this record are immediately surpassed by like pretty much any high on Life's a Trip. Or yeah, basically Wish or
Taking a Walk.
Yeah. But the lows on this, like you said, are just way too long, and I feel like the entirety of like the last probably 3/4 of this album is just a one big long low.
Yeah, but not to say it doesn't have its moments. I feel like On God featuring Young Thug, those two have actually a lot of chemistry together and it works out
they should
pretty
have
well.
been
But
album
also
together.
it feels too long. Like it isn't the sharpest track on this album. Also, 10 Feet actually shows off a lot of interesting freestyle. It feels like a freestyle track as itself, like how it should be. Like that's its natural aesthetic. Unlike some of these that really don't give the presentation of a freestyle track, this one gives that off.
Right.
In a sense where some of these tracks just feel like they have shitty writing, not that they're freestyle. That makes sense. But like we get good moments in the later half, but there's also just a ton of tracks that just are super long for no reason. If your emotion's good in short spurts and not in long drudges, because I feel like Juice WRLD starts out this album crying, and then at the end he just has nothing left to give because he cried too much. He has no more tears left to cry.
He's still making the noises of crying, but there's nothing coming out of the eyes. All in all, emo rap was not ready for its deconstruction. It's far too early in the emo rap like life cycle, if that makes sense, to be deconstructed. I think that like trap went through its life cycle, and well, it's still going through its life cycle. We're still cycling through trap, but it was around long enough to see its deconstruction. Hence, JPEG Mafia's Veteran or Childish Gambino's This Is America completely like deconstructed the genre, said like this is what we can make out of this music, took it down to like its bare bones and made it into something great. Both of those, that track and that record are both fantastic, but emo rap has only been around for so long. I think that pretty much the only notable album in emo rap now is Life's a Trip, and now all of a sudden Juice WRLD's like, yeah, we're done with this, and just deconstructed it. It was literally like, this feels like a Juice WRLD documentary versus like a Juice WRLD album, if that makes sense.
This thing could have been essentially the fire starter to giving us some of the best material this genre has to offer, but instead I feel like we're at the end of it when we
tore himself down.
like when we're at the beginning of the
career.
genre in a sense. In a sense, like this thing, like this album just essentially, this album could have been iconic, but because of the negligence of Juice WRLD not knowing his own limits of how many tracks he should release, how he should be writing these tracks, and how much different emotions to spread across the different tracks, I think in the negligence of not knowing himself or not even attempting to explore himself, we're missing out on an iconic album. For better or for worse.
I don't know. He might be onto something here. I just thought of this. Isn't it the most emo thing to do than to deconstruct your own genre and to end it so early? Think about it. We got Life's a Trip, the essential album, and we got Lucid Dreams, the essential track. And now Juice WRLD's like the most emo thing you could possibly do. It's like when you're too metal, you just break everything. You just break all the shit in your studio and decide that you're done, because that's the most metal thing you could do. the most emo thing you could do is to completely lop off your genre before it's like run its life cycle.
Yeah, I think you have a point there. It doesn't make it good.
So it died early.
It died early.
It died
but-
early.
Also, another thing to know, I forget what track it is on this. Juice WRLD does the weird thing again he did on Ski Mask the Slump God's last album on the track Nuketown, where he's screaming into the mic and you can hear the air and the noise of his mouth go into the mic and make it peak. Whatever engineer he was working with needs to be fired or just like, I don't know, like
They need to end him early.
because like why? That's not an aesthetic. That's just bad. That's like, I just don't understand the point. And it was at a later moment on this album where I'm just like, yeah, he's not really trying. Like, it almost feels like at points he was making this album in chronological order. And that was the point where
This is the documentary.
where he's just like giving up. And then he went to bed and he worked on more tracks. And then we get the track with Young Thug. And then we're like, oh, this is good. And then went back to bad. Yeah, this is a disappointing record. I don't know if it'll be like worst of the year material because the moments on this are really high, but the lows are just lost. And I feel like if this album was deconstructed in a sense, and even like the second half of this album was slimmed down to like a regular size, like 20-minute project, it still would have been good. But we're just giving the same type of track over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's really disappointing in that he's just giving us too much. Like I don't go to like Chick-fil-A and get like a 4-piece chicken tenders meal and they're like, okay, here's 20 because then I'm gonna eat them all and then I'm gonna feel sick. And that's what happened with this album. I got an hour plus worth of Juice WRLD and now I'm sick.
We got sick. We drank too much lean.
Now we are sick. Lean does not sit well in my tummy.
If there's one thing that Juice WRLD I think deserves on this record, it's that the album artwork is one of the best we've seen of the year so far.
It's memey, but it's also good.
It's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's both.
But it is also really dumb. You could make some really dumb stuff out of that.
Yeah, well, all the best album arts are memey.
Yeah.
Playboy Cardi's Dilit, super memey, but super good. Kitsy Ghost with that giant like cloud monster.
Oh, you just missed it.
Super memey, super good. And I think we're gonna leave it at that. So yeah, this is disappointing. And I really don't want to talk about it anymore. But until next time, guys, I've been Vincent.
I'm Trevor.
And see you, boys.
Bye, everybody.